I'd like you to study. And you can see here is that typically when a sperm enter, only the head of the sperm will enter, not the tail. The tail will actually fall off. So this structure here, when you have the oocyte and the egg, this is considered as fertilized oocyte, right? We call this as a zygote. A zygote is a fertilized oocyte. Okay? So you can think of fertilization as, okay, let's say day one. Right? This cells then slowly to mature. From one cell now give rise to two cells. What cellular division is this?
Mitosis.
Good, mitosis. From two cells into four cells. Four cells into 8 cells. And then from 8 to 16, 16 to 32, essentially look like this. It's known as the mulberry, right? So this structure is known as the morula. Morula is look like the mulberry. I think there's one out. Morula. So the process by which you go from here to here is two things. One, look at the individual cell. Are they bigger or smaller than this?
Bigger.
The individual cell.
Smaller.
Smaller, right? So mitosis in this case, you can create a smaller cell. Right? This process, by the way, going from here to here, is known as cleavage. It's almost like you take in a knife, you cut it in half. Okay? So you get two cells. The cells are smaller, but it creates more surface area. Right? So you can imagine their surface area. So what is the advantage of more surface area? This is a surface area, this is a surface area, and also the inside as well. What's the advantage of that? More surface area, more gases exchange, more nutrients can get in, right, to feature. This cell is actually, actively making a lot of things, okay? Likewise, it becomes this, more surface area, this is the most surface area, and in fact, it does secrete out a lot of fluid inside, okay? And all the fluids then started to expand, pops out to becomes this, okay? This stage, you can say it looks like a blastocyst, okay? So most people will get to this stage around blastocyst around day 6 or day 7. And it's this blastocyst that will get implanted into the uterus like this, okay? Whereas the blastocyst might have, typically of every blastocyst will have this structure. And this is the blastocyst. Where you have this individual cells right here and versus this, right? This is known as the inner cell mass, and this is known as the trophoblast. Where do you find the trophoblast? This is blastocyst, and this is the inner cell mass. The inner cell mass, all I want you to know is that this will differentiate into the embryo. Okay? The inner cell mass will give rise to the embryo. Well, the trophoblast, this one right here, gives rise to the extra embryonic tissue. And the extra embryonic tissue is considered as the placenta, for example. Right? So you can say that now, this is the structure, what you find underneath the uterus, is in fact, is here. Where the uterine, the endometrium will be covers it. Okay? So in fact, it's more like this, where the inner cell mass is inside, and the endometrium will cover it. So this is actually get embedded. Okay? Then they started to differentiate into this. And this is known as, you don't need to know, the epiblast and the hypoblast. The epiblast give rise to this right here, is the amniotic sacs and the yolk sacs. This is the embryo. What I really want you to know is that in the tropoblasts here give rise to these. Okay? These are known as the chorionic villi. Remember, do you guys know what chorionic means? The middle layers of the eye is known as the middle layers of the eye. The cornea is in front. It's known as the choroid, right? Remember in the brains, the ventricle, lining the ventricle is the choroplexus. So in the word choroids mean there's a lot of vasculature. So in fact, the original name is come from these. This is known as the chorionic villi. Initially, the chorionic villi is finding surrounding the tropoblast, and then later on, the chorionic villi merge to only on one side. Okay, so this is the structure that you will essentially will be seeing in the exam, where the chorionic villi will give rise to the placenta and the umbilical cord. Right? The embryo is this yolk sac stand will give rise to that embryo, and this thing right here is known as the amniotic sacs. Is that clear? All right, so why don't you guys study that?